Hello, friends. Welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly Presents with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308. And we are here with the ASOC Prod Cat and the Peanut Gallery. How y'all doing?
Well enough.
I'm getting... Oh, that's where I made my mistake. Okay. And of course, I made a mistake immediately on opening up, so that's how we're starting. Well enough.
Yeah.
All right. We are not going to start today with an ad read because we are doing another very special episode. And I feel like it would be a bit. Considering the subject matter of today's episode, I feel like it would be a little strange to say, and discussing democracy brought to you by corporate name. So I do feel like maybe today's ad read can be skipped. We are doing a very special episode today where we discuss what it means to be an American on this July 4th, the 250th birthday of the United States of America. Obviously, July 4th is not the day that all of a sudden America was absolutely free and its own entity. That is a process that took time.
Mm.
But we here in America celebrate July 4th as Independence Day, as the day celebrating our split from the United Kingdom. And
I'm very modern to be celebrating the day that you split with your ex.
I'm just saying, and it is one of those weird ex relationships where, you keep hanging out, you kind of date occasionally, maybe you sleep together a few times, and then you have these huge fights, and so it's
Enemy
definitely,
with benefits.
huh? Yeah,
Almost enemy with benefits.
right now, yes. 250 years that we have been an independent nation. And I've heard a lot of people say 250 years, 200 years, that's the lifespan of any hegemony, any hegemonic empire. They lose the number one spot after 250 years. I don't know that that's true, for one.
It's not.
I didn't think so. I really, when I stopped and thought about it, I thought that can't be true. Um, and I that if I couple that with the thought that maybe the United States shouldn't be in this hegemonic role, shouldn't be in this top place, maybe we're no longer the flagship democracy that we think we are. Um, you know, 250 years ago, we started what was called the Great American Democratic Experiment. This was while elements of our democracy are are tested, they are not necessarily, the system we have was not necessarily tried at that point. So this has been an experiment, and other people, other nations have copied us and, tried to be like us. And I feel like maybe have done a better job at democracy than us.
Mhm.
Well, we're not a true democracy anyway.
True. We're a democratic republic. Correct? Is that correct?
I believe that is the proper terminology.
Or a representative democracy, where we vote for our representatives and they are supposed to manage the company on our, or country, manage the country on our behalf.
There's very little difference between those two terms, except for into the very minor sticking points between them. I would say that they are interchangeable.
Democracy and representative democracy, or country and company?
No, representative democracy and democratic republic.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Um, why don't you give us a quick rundown on how they're different, and then we can move right along? Because, as you
That's
said,
the
they're
thing.
pretty
I know that
interchangeable.
they are technically different,
Oh,
but in my understanding of them, they are so similar that they are effectively synonymous with each other.
okay. You can't. I understand that completely. There's a difference. You just don't know where it is.
And since the difference does not affect the overarching definition, it really doesn't matter that much. They are synonymous.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go with they are synonymous. I I'm gonna go ahead and answer the question I pose in the title here real quick, and then we'll move on to what y'all think. In my opinion, what it means to be an American, and I mean, by American I mean U.S. citizen, because all of the North American nations are different enough that while
Shut it.
I feel like there are enough differences that saying that I am a North American just isn't quite the same. As to what it means to be an American, a U.S. citizen, I feel like it comes with responsibility. Being an American citizen means taking responsibility. It means taking responsibility for for not letting the experiment die. It means taking responsibility for the shape of the nation. It means being an active part of a community, being an active part of the nation your state, an active part of the democracy and the experiment that we still endeavor with. I feel like we are capable of being the great nation, the shining city on the hill, the projector of 1,000 points of light. We are capable of that. We are capable of being the good example. I believe that America has within it the heart to be better. It is not currently doing that. It is not. It has taken steps in that direction in my lifetime. We have taken steps in that direction in my lifetime. But we have also continued to be pulled down by our inability to reconcile with our violent and problematic history, our history of subjugation, of internal colonialization. And until we as a nation start engaging very seriously with our flaws, we will be incapable of being a good example to anyone. We are where we are as a nation because we have not dealt with the blood and oppression that built our nation.
Well, I'm going to jump down a dark rabbit hole real quick.
All right. I'm going to say hi to Chris in the 386 right before you do that. Hi, Chris in the 386. Okay, now go right ahead.
So you're saying that. Well, first off, I'm going to start off with the thing that has brightened my day. It is a statement that I saw, and I thoroughly agree with, and has made me feel much happier about today.
Okay.
MAGA, aka the Republicans, do not own the 4th of July. They do not own the 250th anniversary. They own January 6th. We, as Americans, own the 4th of July. Does that not make you feel better about today?
I think you should repeat that sentiment because that's a good one. Go ahead and give it to us again.
MAGA and or Republicans do not own the 4th of July. They do not own the 250th anniversary of this nation. They do own January 6th. We as Americans own the 4th of July.
I agree. That has brought a smile to my face. All right, please continue.
And that's the thing we've all been struggling with for the past couple of months with this day impending.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I mean, that is some of what we have been struggling with. Some of what I struggle with uh, on an annual basis is the history of slavery in America and how it's not really dealt with.
To
I
which
mean,
I can start on my dark rabbit hole.
all right, let's
Uh-oh.
go.
So, you say we need to contend with our violent past, with our expansionism, our internal colonialism, and our injustices to our own citizens and the people who then became our citizens.
Yes.
Correct. I do not disagree. What I will say, though, is we are doing that, and we are doing that better than many other nations. I say this because many nations point to America and say, look at them, look at how violent and how racist they are. And we're just like, yes, and we are trying to be better. The thing that we're doing that most of you are not is we are admitting that that is a flaw that we had and still have, and we are trying to work on it. Show me a nation that has expanded its borders and has not gone through the same things. They may not have gone through the evil that was slavery per se, but
They
we
probably did.
have, I said may not, but we have acknowledged this. We have tried to make things better. There are parts of our population that are trying to say it wasn't a problem. Most of us acknowledge it was and still is a problem, which is why there are rules that some people are attempting to do, rules and laws that some people are trying to get rid of.
I
Now, I say this because I have, through secondhand experience, knowledge of other nations who claim to be past these things, very overtly showing these things and just not admitting it to themselves. Like our our wonderful, sometimes friend, sometimes enemy ex Britain loves to talk about how racist we are. They do not have laws and they will still enforce, oh, you are of a different ethnic origin than what I like. I am not selling you this house.
Oh, yes. You did mention that.
and you know, Britain has some very. I mean, all we have to do is ask Master Asta 420, and he will tell us that Britain still has race problems. You
But
know,
as a nation, they try to refuse that is the
right?
case. That is the thing that we are doing better on. We are admitting that it is a fault. We are
Yeah.
not admitting it as much of a fault that it is, and we are being very slow dragging our heels fixing it. But we are actively and visibly attempting to reconcile with it and make things better.
Two things. One, Maddie says, or ask Northern Ireland.
Yep.
Two, I think we need to differentiate between what the majority of Americans feel on the subject and what our government is doing. I think the majority of Americans feel as you do, that there is a problem and that we're trying to fix it. But one thing about America and a part of its First Amendment is that we're very messily and publicly outing our own racism and bigotry and can have public discourse about it. we come off as racist because we can publicly push back against it and call out our own government about it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, though, also our government has, in the past decade, and I know Biden tried to not be part of this backslide, but I feel like our government in the past decade has backslid, and we do have to own that. The fact that they're trying to not acknowledge that, the fact that they're trying to say that it isn't, that we are in a post-racial world and that racism isn't a thing, while they are actively trying to be racist. I
Which is
think
one of the reasons. Sorry.
I think we have
Which
to
is
acknowledge that. Yes, go ahead.
one of the reasons why I enjoy. It angers me, but I enjoy finding "quote unquote" recently deleted history,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
because as long as we continue to be vocal and call ourselves out about it, and I include us and our government in ourselves,
Yes.
as long as we are vocal about calling ourselves out about it, it doesn't go away. It doesn't fall as far back as some people want it to.
I
So we
agree.
have to continue to be vocal about calling people out about it. We don't have to be violent. We don't have to be mean about it. We have to be, um, no, this is what happened.
And that's part of why what we're doing here is actually almost vaguely kind of important. Because we do we do keep speaking on these things.
Mm-hmm.
We are, and I realize that Twitch and YouTube aren't praxis, but continuing to speak out is. Watching videos isn't practice, but speaking out is. I'm not trying to, pat us on the back or anything here, but I do want to point out that, like, as long as independent press exists, where people feel capable of calling out the government, of criticizing the government, then our democracy, our great democratic experiment, stands
Shaky but intact.
a better chance of surviving. Icky but intact. Maddie says,
Shaky.
but also we are one of the most diverse countries out there. You get into many of those even bigger first world countries, they're like 91% ethnically country white, with their own country members being 91%. Killing the free press is part of Project
Yep.
2025. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm not going to say it's working, but it's having an effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, I have moments of worry that we're going to find ourselves in trouble because the algorithm has picked up on the fact that we criticize the government, that we criticize, and then, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
That
with
is
AI detection now, there's no such thing as small enough to fly under the radar.
true. Um, However, we have been seeing very steadily um, the courts looking at the attempts to stifle freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and going, yeah, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You still can't do that. And turning things over and turning people loose. And I would be interested, or I will be interested to see and follow what's going on in Colorado. I believe it's Colorado. And how that goes, because you've got people that were arrested last year for a protest.
Right.
One of whom who was told to leave by police, and she did what she was told. She wasn't arrested there. She was on the scene. She was told to leave. She left. And then later on, when they went to go push and find names to string up to say, this is an example of what's going to happen to you, they hauled her in. And all of that is going to be hitting the various appeals courts soon, because they just finished doing the sentencing on that.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one is that, and what they're going to be pointing out is you've got, for the most part, all of these people were nonviolent. Most of them listened when told to leave. One of them wasn't even part of the protest. He had dropped his significant other off and was leaving the area. And they arrested him because he had anti-Trump pamphlets in his car.
Some of these cases are going to make it to the Supreme Court. Do you think that's going to be the one that makes it to the Supreme Court?
I think that some of maybe I don't know.
And then lockpick happened.
I think
Hi, lockpick. I'll give you a second to gather your thoughts on that question. So, lockpick, when you have coffee, if you want to join us in the chat and give us your view on this, you're our favorite outsider for opinions about America, about the United States.
yes.
Yes, that's and of course, if Master Rasta 420 is alive and wants to speak on that as well, we'd love to have the opinions.
Yes.
Go get the defibrillator, get the lightning rod, shout it to live, get him in here.
No, just threaten to go do something to the kettle that he doesn't approve of. That'll wake him up faster.
Threaten to rescale the kettle.
Yes. Yes.
Maddie says they just gave a dude 30 years for moving a box of left-wing zines in a garage.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh man, yeah.
That's part of that. Out of the people there, 30 years, 25 or 30 years was like the lowest sentence that was handed out, with the highest being 100 years.
Yep.
And that's for someone that actively shot at police officers.
Okay. Shooting at cops is dumb.
Yes.
That's my opinion there.
Yes.
These are pretty serious charges.
They are. But
well, no. I mean, pretty serious sentences. I'm sorry. These are some pretty serious sentences. The charges mostly are pretty spurious.
No. Let's be honest about it. They're very trumped up.
I knew where you were going with that.
I was so avoiding that.
Oh, well, you avoid it so he can say it. Now that it's been said, yes.
Yes.
And that is going to be part of the appeals process for sure, is pointing out how, one, possessing anti government literature, disseminating anti government literature, and everything else is not illegal and therefore should never have been arrested and charged, period. But also pointing out how all of these sentences are so grossly outside of the normal bounds for what was effectively disorderly conduct.
Yes.
The only one that should, by the letter of the law, have anything longer than a year or two is the one that actively pulled a weapon and shot in a crowded environment.
Yes.
The biggest problem with the legality of these charges is they are tossing in the oh so amorphous charge of domestic terrorism.
Which is why they were able to put so many years on them.
Right.
Exactly. Now, you
Go
can
ahead.
us from our viewpoint. To be honest, this is our viewpoint. See this nowhere, not at all as domestic terrorism. Now, in the legal standing, from my limited understanding, there was no destruction of property. There was one case of active violence or threatening. So even with the amorphous thing of AT attached to it, most of these should not classify under that umbrella
No.
because there was no terrorist act.
There
They
was
were not
no
attempting to inflict terror on anyone.
on the general population. They weren't trying to scare the population into or out of an action,
No.
which is the definition of terrorism. Maddie points out they're going to invoke the World War One, I can't remember what it's called, but that clause that was like, yeah, you can't criticize the government during World War One. And they keep wanting it. Huh?
I said, yeah, no, they're going to try for that. They are trying for that, but we've grown. Despite the fact that they're trying to kill free press, the way we have grown in sharing information has changed so much in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
That trying to put that particular genie in the bottle because of the Iran conflict or whatever the hell they're calling it this week.
Right.
Which, side note, have either of you seen Hunter Biden's endorsement of Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize for winning the same war 38 times in a span of 5 months?
Cute.
The man may have made some personal choices that are not okay. He may be dealing with addiction issues and struggling with that. And he may have other things going on. But I absolutely thoroughly endorse his ability to troll certain high-level officials as well as he has been.
Yep. Oh. Gotta give him credit for that. Hunter just wants to party.
Yeah, he does. And he is partying and enjoying the heck out of trolling people right now, and I am all for that.
Ah, okay. It was the Schenck versus United States. That was the one that was the World War One thing.
Mm.
I don't believe it's what you think it is.
Pushing or not pushing? That was the question.
I think, therefore I am.
I need some tea. I'm going to go get some tea because I am dehydrated and my brain is not doing good things.
Okay.
You want to stop being dehydrated and want to be tea hydrated.
You are not helping the matter.
So, all right, let me try and get this back on track here. We, I mean, the crux of it is that we are. Do I? Do I gotta shake a bee? I was so trying not to go there. So trying not to go there. I mean, the crux of the matter is that the U.S. is a very it's a mixed bag. It's very much a case of good and bad of everything working itself out. And I just looked at what's going on in the chat. Derailed me again. We are a complex nation with complex politics at play. And I do feel like like I said, we have the ability to be great. And we have, huh?
Be careful how you say that, or it might develop a complex.
Right?
Sorry, not sorry.
No, 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 it's okay. We we as a population, I feel like, are doing more and doing better, doing more to be doing better at dealing with the at dealing with the history, the racism, the sexism, the systemic inaction around that. We as a population are doing better at dealing with that than we as a nation are.
Well, that's the way the nation works. The population drags the nation further into humanity, and the nation sets up a framework to try to allow that to happen and to reduce, not prevent or stop, but to reduce the speed of backsliding.
And I feel like on the national level, we are failing ourselves right now. I feel like on the governmental level, we are failing ourselves right now. I I do not see this failure as a permanent state of affairs. I do feel like we can change this, that it can change, and will. That's the thing. That's the other thing about this, is I don't feel like we are in a permanent state of affairs here. Our nation has the opportunity to switch directions every 4 years. Again, I got derailed by what's going on in chat.
Great.
Virgin Eyes, my big toe. We have the ability to change direction every 4 years. Maybe we don't have the most agile form of government.
Mhm.
Maybe we don't have the most progressive form of government. I was really trying to come up with
made
a
it.
but there, but I just don't got anything.
But we
You're
do
sitting on
have
it.
we do have the ability to change direction every so often. Which
Okay.
a lot better than
But-
certain
but-
other places that we are frenemies with currently.
Who did you leave in charge of deciding what direction they can change into at any given moment?
Yeah.
Well, and this is where taking part, everybody having to take part all the time comes into play.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about this. You know, we are a bipolar system of government. But I don't think that we're stuck on necessarily a two-party system. I think at any given time, you're going to see two dominant parties. But let's remember that our parties change. Even the very nature of our political parties change.
No, there's one thing that I wish we could do, and it will take amendments to either state or federal constitutions for it to happen. But one step that one nation that has tried to follow in our steps somewhat has done. Australia. Compulsory voting.
Yes, I've thought about that. I don't know where I land on that yet. But it would make it much more, it would force us much more to take part in our democratic experiment. Now, I think, okay, now see, compulsory voting, sure, but I think what we need to do first is take down the barriers to voting.
That would be a major step in taking down the barriers. Like
It would, or it would be an opportunity for some form of enforcement. See, what if they make it mandatory voting, but then leave all the barriers in place? And then all of those people who can't vote, who really can't vote, because, like, they can't get there, they don't have the right kind of ID, they've been purged from the voter rolls, all of these little hurdles, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all of these little hurdles are in the way. They're not cleared out. So these people can't vote, can't get time off work, can't vote. So then they're open to whatever the enforcement is. I think a lot more people would take part if taking part weren't so difficult. Reenfranchise voters, yes. Chris can't
That's all
vote.
great on paper, but that's never going to happen.
Oh, I know.
That's never going to happen in the United States. They're doing their best to make sure less people can vote and only certain people can vote. All of this is great on paper, but Australia has a different way of thinking about the world down to the individual citizens.
Mhm.
You're never going to see that in America.
I wouldn't say never.
Or we are
Quite.
generations away from that ever being even possible.
This is where we need to make to highlight the difference between the nation and the population. I think the general population would love to see this, would love this, either, mandatory voting or at least, non-blocked voting, things like that. I think getting hey, Chris in the 386. I think getting the nation, the government, the corporations to allow that to happen is, as Lockpick pointed out, not something going to happen in our lifetimes.
I don't even think a lot of your population would be down for it, because their idea of mandatory voting includes a different bunch of people than their neighbor does. And it's going to take a long time. I mean, you guys are a country that was born out of division. You guys basically were forged out of a big disagreement, which never really went away. And you still have both sides that would rather the other side didn't vote. And they're going to do everything that they can to do it. First, it was don't let people who don't have documentation or here legally, don't let them vote. Whatever, that's fair. Then they started taking away people's legal documentation and turning them into illegal so that way they couldn't vote too. Like, you've got a good chunk of your population that wants to control the vote. And this isn't a government thing. This is boots on the ground citizens that want to control the vote because they're that passionate about who they want to win. They'll do it by any means.
I don't think it's
if you
the
look
majority of citizens, though. I think it's
not the majority, but it's enough to make a difference.
Loud minority. Yes, enough to make a difference. A violent and loud minority.
Think of it this way: if you look around the world, all right, look around the world. There is a certain kind of country which is known to have a violent uprising after an election to try and remove a leader. We usually look at these people and say, "Oh man, we need to go in there and impose some democracy and order." That's usually the role that Americans think they got to take. Is, oh, there's chaos and there's human suffering. We need to go in there and we need to fix this. The Russians jump up and try to take over the capital because they don't like who won or whatever. Then everyone's like, "Oh my God, so glad I don't live there."
Right.
Are you guys that far off? You guys have those people in your population and enough of them to make a difference. So
I mean,
the third party falls under the same thing. You're going to have people who know that their population is susceptible to manipulation. And that's why I keep saying on paper, there's a lot of things that are a great idea.
Yeah.
But you guys are not set up, and it's going to take generations to shake that, because it is so hard ingrained. You got little children who are growing up with mommy and daddy's indoctrinations, and it's crazy.
However, the speed at which information moves these days, the localization of the nation. The fact that you can be exposed to another point of view so easily, I think has sped up the empathy development of the youth of the nation.
And here's where I switch sides in the argument. Because, okay, the speed at which information goes is not quite the speed that disinformation goes. And
I was just
also,
going to say the same thing.
being exposed to different points of view, the algorithm's making sure that doesn't happen, sweetie.
The algorithms, okay. Did you just
I
call me
don't know if I agree
sweetie?
with I don't
Yes, I did.
I don't know if I agree with the algorithm argument, because the algorithm feeds you the echo chamber you're looking for. I can
Yes.
fire up my social media and I see extremist views and I see fair views from both sides of the fence, because I actively go and I look for the truth on both sides of the fence on almost any issue. So it's how you use the algorithm. If you've got somebody who only wants a certain answer, if they've got a bias confirmation that they're looking for, yes, the algorithm's going to feed it to them. Those are the people, though, who aren't interested in the other side of the coin. As much as they see it, they're never going to see tails if all they want is heads. They're not wired that way. And that's what I mean by the indoctrination of a lot of citizens in a lot of countries. Like, this isn't just an America thing. We can say, oh, the big companies are screwing us by only giving us this information because they know it's going to get clicks. But they also know that you're a certain type of person who's only going to click on that. And you don't care about the tails. You just want heads. So, yeah, they're going to give you heads. But would you read tails if they gave it to you? Or are you just going to read it, get angry, and look for more heads to make yourself feel better at the end of the day? Are we shaping the algorithm, or is it shaping us?
Both.
I also think that we can get our information from other places than the algorithm. You know, speaking of which, let's check in with chat real quick. Poor Maddie is feeling left out of the conversation. Not being able to vote, they're taking away people's documents and throwing them in concentrations. It's not both sides. And I think that was about the restricting voting thing, where it really is just one side trying to restrict voting, because if voting is opened up, it's been proven that we will, as a nation, as a population, vote progressive.
If just a quick question, if the people on the left, if a lot of people on the left found out that there was some way that they could prevent anyone from voting for Trump again, do you really think that a lot of them are going to say, no, let them vote anyway?
On the left,
or are they going to put an end to that?
No, on the left, I think
Because
people
I've
are
heard
going to
tons
say
of people saying he's a criminal. He's a criminal. Nobody should even be allowed to vote for him. And there are active campaigns going on about this. You shouldn't even be allowed to run. You're a criminal. Like, that's a big statement. People are, why are you even allowed to be president?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that part, I do feel like it's like, he is a criminal. He is a criminal. And he's committed crimes that we say you're not allowed to have committed if you're going to be president.
He's committed crimes that most apartment complexes would not rent to you because of them.
Right.
I
However,
sent you a message, Trevor.
I'm working on it. That part aside, I don't want to, not just me, most Democrats and leftists don't want to disenfranchise anyone's ability to vote for whoever they want to vote for. Partially because most leftists know, most progressives know that the more you enfranchise voting, the more it's going to be progressive. But let's get back into what Maddie's saying. And also, Maddie, you are welcome to jump into the voice chat if you want. I don't know if you feel how you feel about being perceived on that level. So, in the Discord, you should be a member of the Discord channel, and it's at the bottom. It's the general VC with the green heart.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that set up. Bug pick.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, you don't Discord? Oh, you don't see it. Oh, have you gone through
Maybe not a
the?
minute.
Huh?
Let me see.
If you haven't gone through the setup process, it may not be open to you yet.
Settings.
Yeah, there's like you gotta like react to a message or something, don't you?
Yeah. You've got to,
Alright.
you've got to like say that you've read the rules.
No,
because it's-
VC is a private chat too, so
the general is a private chat. I thought that was.
depending upon who you are.
Oh,
Because at one point you had it locked down a little bit so that generally
Oh.
people didn't just wander in when we were streaming.
I
Got
thought
sick and tired of me showing up and ruining everything.
no,
No, you were given specific permission to do that.
no. Oh, yay! All right, hop in and give us your opinions.
There you go.
This will also help, just in general, when you want to. All right, hi, Maddie. Welcome to the
sorry.
show. Don't be sorry.
I was trying to blow my nose before.
We know how that goes.
Just do it into the microphone. They love it.
The arena.
All right. I think I kind of got what my point was originally. Up above. Okay, so the argument is that the left is trying to disenfranchise people from voting for Trump, right? That was the original argument.
I'm not saying the left is trying to disenfranchise. What I'm saying is both sides would rather find a way to prevent people from voting for their opponent.
No. People aren't not wanting to vote for Trump because of his criminal background, right?
But you've had presidents before with a criminal background. It's perfectly allowed to be president with a criminal background. There's nothing wrong with that.
Have we though? Have we had a president with felony level criminal background?
Well, there's Andrew Jackson.
Okay.
But the point is, they're not trying to disenfranchise people from voting. They're trying to stop a criminal rapist and money launderer and scam artist from being president or dog catcher or ombudsman. That's the problem.
We're trying to protect the institution of democracy from
That's not the
bad
same as
players.
we're going to stop black people from voting because they voted for
I realize
a Democrat.
I realize they're not the same.
Yeah,
I realize they're not the same, but that's what I'm saying is that's where both sides have found a tool that they can use to prevent the guy they don't want to be in power, and they're going to try to use it.
No. You are falsely equivocating here. There are the right has been for the past 30 plus years, and I'm going to say probably since the Voting Rights Act, 50 plus years.
I'm going to step it all the way back to Reconstruction.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is because the Voting Rights Act allowed people to actually vote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. In the modern era,
Okay.
that the right has been building a coalition and a structural and systemic decades long program to disenfranchise specifically minority people and several other targeted groups, and they are expanding that to now include women, married women, and now they're trying to repeal the 17th Amendment. And now they're trying to do all these other super sketchy things. That is not the same as left-wing people going, I don't want people to be able to vote for this one particular person because he's a rapist and a scam artist and a white collar, and he's one of the biggest notorious criminals. Organized crime with 3 different mafia group ties going back to since he was a child with his father.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember when George Bush won?
Which
When George
one?
Bush Jr. When George Bush won,
W.
I believe it was George Bush. Was it W with the Nader effect? They called it.
The spoiler
When he
effect?
beat him out, he basically won by a tiny amount because people thought that Nader had taken votes away from the other side, right?
Well, they
And it
claim
was
the
such a
same-
tight.
They claim
It was such a tight margin. It was. Hold on. So let me. At no point did you see an uprising of people having day-to-day conversations about those illegals voting ruined it for us.
Okay,
It
so
was all about, this is why we need to either have a strong third party or not allow a third party, because this guy in the middle just leached votes and handed it to somebody else. Everybody who didn't want Bush in power blamed Nader. They didn't blame minorities voting or illegals voting.
and they did
That
this
might have been something that people wanted to do, but it wasn't loud until Trump was on the fucking
It
platform.
wasn't allowed.
It never became this loud.
All right. Lockpick,
Oh,
we're allowing rebuttal.
Okay,
Rebuttal.
they said the same thing about Ross Perot
Yep.
in the election. I think it was the '96 election with Clinton
Nader was.
versus what? No. Ross Perot with I think it was the '92 election.
Okay.
Yep. That same thing happened with Perot.
Yeah.
But that's also besides the point, because having a spoiler candidate, third party candidate happens. Right? There's been several spoiler candidates locally and nationally. You know, look at the New York mayor election with Mamdani. There was a third party spoiler. It was the Republican incumbent who lost the primary to Silva, and I can't remember the other guy's name. And then he came in roaring in as a third party independent. Right?
In both these situations, the illegal
But
vote
none
would
of
have
this is
turned
about
the tables.
none of these situations, a spoiler, third party, people against Trump, none of these things have any kind of equivocation or equal level.
But my point
Even
is,
the same concept as the right has been instituting for 50 years a deep disenfranchisement of minority voters in the modern era. That is not the same.
However, in both of those situations, the the illegal vote, as they're putting it now, would have changed the tables to give the
What's
people
an
who
illegal
wanted
vote?
to win.
What's an illegal vote?
Hold on. The exact thing people are yelling about now and throwing people in concentration camps
What are you
for.
defining as an illegal vote? Because that is a highly
That's why I put it in quotes if you look at how I'm writing it.
You need to
Okay.
define
Because
it.
right now, the people that they're taking paperwork away from, they're trying to make their vote not count.
But what do
They're
you
actively
consider
trying
be
to
as an
remove
illegal
voters
vote?
from the voting pool.
What do
Okay.
you consider as an illegal vote?
I mean,
How are you defining it? That's all I'm asking.
What did they consider an illegal vote? And
Yes.
I think why Lockpick put it in parentheses is because right now, what the administration, what the regime is trying to frame as an illegal vote is changing. Now, what I'd like to point out is that, we've been on this trend to where we are ever since you know, for the past 50 years. And then before that, what got us to that point was we'd been on this trend since the end of Reconstruction. But where we are at in our political system and in our political growth is a place where, again, bipolar. We are a bipolar nation, political nation. A place where only two parties are allowed to have hegemony. One of those two parties has been actively trying to restrict voting. The other party has been actively trying to enfranchise general voting, but restrict who can run. And not restrict terribly who can run. And this hasn't been over the past 50 years. This has been over the past 10 years. Now,
and it's not even the Democratic Party itself. It's specific individuals who are making that assertion.
yes.
The Democratic Party has never once been like, well, we need to throw Trump out because blah, 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 and we need to stop people from voting for him from blah, 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 blah. They had 3 rounds where the Democratic Party is like, we need to stop Trump from being able to vote in the first place. They haven't done any of that.
They tried.
But we couldn't
tried.
They couldn't get enough people couldn't get enough of the Democrats together pulling in the same direction.
They
would have succeeded.
They also
they are a fractured party.
They would have succeeded had they not gone and agreed that the president gets immunity while he's performing presidential duties.
No. That was SCOTUS in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
that is brand new.
That is.
I know that's brand new, but they would have already made Trump unable to run the third time. That he would have been unable to run if that hadn't gone through.
You're just creating a false historical narrative that they would have. That's not what happened. They would have. They didn't. That's ultimately they did not. You're trying to make people guilty of the left as guilty as the right based on they would have been something.
No, I'm not saying just as guilty. At no point am I saying just as guilty. And
the right did.
I agree. The equivalency that you think I'm making isn't the point that I'm making. The tools that they're using to get it's the means to the end. I agree that the means are not equal. But we're seeing both sides trying to do something in the last 10 years that they haven't been trying to do before. Not this heavily, not this passionate.
What has the left been trying to do on a party-wide system for the past 10 years that is on any sort of level as the Republicans, or that you find has any kind of merit or demerit? Just because the guy in charge of the right side doesn't have enough tact to keep his mouth shut and let his people and voters do the talking doesn't mean there's anything different. A war criminal, an embezzler, a thief, a racist, a bigot, on a criminally basis bigot, by the way. The first time he was ever in the news was to stop people from minorities from renting from his apartments, and he got dinged by the Fair Housing Act by it.
Hey, Master Rasta 420.
Right? This guy is criminal. He stole billions of dollars from our government and taxes. And now the same equivocation of the Democrats didn't want the Trump to run again, and they tried to stop him. Yeah, that's what both sides do. They try to find dirt on the other people, and then they run it. That's what happened to Romney with 43% and binders full of women. That's what happened with creeping Nixon, right? That's what the Republicans have been doing for 70 years with rat fucking, right?
Yep.
They all find dirt. That's just politics as usual in the US and around the world, but that's not even close to what Trump has been doing, nor the right has been attacking our own citizens on their right to vote, on the right to freedom of speech, on the right to religion, on the right to be black, on the right to live in certain areas, on the right to do whatever they goddamn want.
So
Let me ask this. Can I and can I ask if you're an American?
No, I'm an outsider. I'm your closest neighbor.
Okay, so
that's part of why we have him here, is for the outside opinion.
well, I understand that, but this false equivocating of both sides is very tiresome. Going back to at least the 1990s with Kang versus whatever with The Simpsons, and then later with South Park, and it's tiring. It's both sides nihilistic Gen X understanding of U.S. politics, where both sides are falsely equivocated to being equally bad, and thus we must completely check out like good little Gen Z people.
I've never said equally bad. You're putting an idea into my mouth. You can listen and go back a lot of these replays. I am very much a left leaning individual.
This conversation specifically.
Let me step in here and say that the left, the Democratic Party, is not above reproach.
No, nobody would
what
ever
we
say
are what we are looking at, though, is that the right has been taking advantage of our desire to hold all sides accountable to weaken its political opposition, whereas the left has been...
It's to weaken the government itself.
And to weaken the government. Oh, no, you're... that is a point I forgot that I was trying to make. They have been... Whereas the left has been trying to make equity happen, make everybody's voice be heard. The right has been using this, especially recently, has been using this to dismantle the democracy that runs our government.
Yes.
And to remove for a long time, it was just to remove government oversight, or that was a large part of it, was to remove government oversight into what corporations were doing, how money was made. Although this undercurrent of disenfranchisement of black and poor people has been a major part of their movement as well.
It's been a linchpin of their movement.
Yes. As to the two parties, our parties evolve over time. The third party, spoiler candidates, they're a blip.
Yes.
And would not be nearly as influential if voter disenfranchisement wasn't such a big thing. Either that, or they'd be way more influential because they would get way more votes, and all of a sudden it would be another party. What we would see in that case most likely is one of the two major parties then collapse into whatever third party just won, and we'd end up with a bipolar system again. This is sort of how our parties evolve into new parties. This sort of thing is how the Democrats went from being the racist, disenfranchising, anti-black big government party of the Dixiecrats to being what it is now, which is neoliberal, large umbrella, trying to be progressive, but still problematic party. This is the shift that we've seen over the past decade and a half to 2 decades has been that the Democratic Party has no longer been a populist party and the populist party has become the Republican Party.
I'm not even sure if I agree with Trump's administration even actually being true Republican. He's something else. It should just be the Trump party.
They are.
No, they are. They've shifted hard into
MAGA,
schism.
yeah. And we should be referring to them as MAGA, not as Republicans at this point.
Well, I don't want to. I mean,
it's a matter of semantics. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We people know what we're
Right.
talking about, but
the Trump family has taken over the top tier positions of the Republican Party.
I mean, yes.
A lot of people don't know that, and it's a moot argument because
It's not like we're trying to save the name of the Republican Party. Reagan was the devil and ruined everything.
Not Nixon.
Nixon was
I would
awful,
argue
but
the difference between Trump and the Republican Party, and yes, there should be a distinction.
all right, give it to
I
us.
know I'm in the minority there.
Give it to us. Why?
Because some Republicans have now been dubbed rhinos, Republican in name only, because we fucking hate that shit.
The Rhino purges started in the early mid 2000s.
Yeah.
When that's not new. That the Republican Party purged everyone they considered moderate or even remotely moderate starting about 2004, just in time for the rise of the Tea Party in 2012 and the economy crashing in 2008. That's not a new concept by any means.
It is what is new is the degree to which it has happened. And the degree to which MAGA has gotten what would otherwise be the few moderates left to fall into line with the threat of physical violence.
Not just physical violence. A lot of various cowards are more worried about keeping their position than they are about doing what they went into the position for.
That's true.
Well,
the threat of being primaried
the
has been...
same. The outcome is the same.
Outcome is the same. I feel like we can't forget that a lot of the power of MAGA has in the past come from the threat of physical violence.
Yes.
Now, once that threat was made clear, the threat of primarying was also has also worked.
And also,
But luckily, in this most recent election cycle, the threat of primarying is more like a threat that he would vote. He would throw his weight behind you, because that seems to be a death kiss currently.
Right.
So, and also in the 2016 election lead up, a lot of people don't remember this. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party had their emails hacked.
Yep.
And then a few days later, the Democratic emails were all leaked to the press, and the Republican Party emails were not leaked at all.
Yep.
And it was not soon after that a lot of Republicans suddenly started espousing and pushing MAGA and like Lindsey Graham and pushing the virtues of Donald Trump.
And those hacks were done by the Russian group Dancing Bear?
It was
Russian or North Korean? One of the two.
it was tied up with WikiLeaks and all this and that.
Oh.
So it's I don't think I think honestly, if I had to make an opinion, I think WikiLeaks was probably like an intermediary type.
Ah.
But I'm not sure. That's just my
WikiLeaks also became a dumping ground for many, 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 many different countries and organizations. So a lot of the stuff that came out, we may never find out exactly who was the one who went in and got it, because they basically had an avenue to come out truly anonymous and let somebody else take the fall for it, who was more than happy to do so.
Okay.
I'm just saying by then there was already some sketchiness going on with that group as it was getting more and more.
Yeah,
let's call it corralled.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, we're here to talk about being American. I was about to have opinions on Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, and that's not.
Old
That is a
water under the bridge.
An opinion.
That is old water under the bridge. Let's talk about 250 years of American history.
Yes.
I want to know real quick what Assange thinks about daylight savings time.
No, I'm not going to. I realize that is fate. I thoroughly enjoy that.
Does that exist in Russia? Wait, where is he at now? Julian Assange, where is he at?
Oh God, who knows? All I know is he's in a little concrete box pooping all over himself because it's the best you can do now.
Oh man.
Well, no, I think he's somewhere.
Okay.
The only free man on the planet who lives like a prisoner. Poor guy.
He's in Australia.
Oh.
I don't know where he's at.
Australia.
Is he on Australia now? Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
He was released from
I'm
the
sure
UK
he's enjoying voting by mail.
and he's in Australia.
Voting by mail. Okay. So let us go ahead and get back onto the topic of the day. Let's hear from Lockpick first about your outsider
You sure about
opinion
that?
of what it means to be an American. And then we will hear from Maddie what your feeling of what it is to be an American.
Okay.
Are we
Sure.
Are we ready for this roller coaster? All right, Lockpick.
Let me light a quick smoke for this one.
Your loose items and keep them inside the ride.
Yes. Everybody buckle your safety belts. Keep your hands, arms, legs, and head inside the
I don't think it's going to be
ride.
this bad. Come on, give me some credit.
No, they're worried about me.
No.
No.
I'm just having fun with the analogy.
I think we just brought two nuclear forces in here to ruin Trevor's stream, I think is what just happened.
Ruin
that
or
Trevor
make
just
better?
Did you hear either Peter Galloway or I object to this?
That's why I love you guys.
That's like Trevor turned into like a professional referee and was like, you on this side and you on that side. We're going to do a weigh-in and agree to all this.
I very
Go sit down, take a drink of water.
Right? I very quickly realized that was going to have to be my job here. And I'm like, oh, crap, I'm bad at this. It's like,
We
oh.
need some walk-on music. We need some walk-on music.
Oh, we do. Unfortunately, the music that's on right now is Comey Speaks.
There you go, Trevor. I just posted the GIF you were looking for.
I do have sound clips ready to go. I could probably pipe in my own theme song if you need me to. It'll probably get your channel shut down, but I can pull that off right now if you want me to.
Let's not get the channel shut down in for any
I'm
more.
to see Fiora Banka.
What was that?
That
Nothing?
was something on Lockpick's end. I don't know yet. We do actually have walk-on music for you, Lockpick. Well, music.
Oh God.
We've got
Is it?
and then Lockpick happened.
Is it the Terrence and Phelps theme song?
Oh, should be. Yeah, Peanut Gallery found the soundboard.
Oh, good.
Um,
All right.
oh God, Master Asta 420 said, "What's Assange's opinion on ranch?" All right, Lockpick, you're up first. Go.
Okay, what's it mean to be? Are we saying American as a whole or American as a citizen?
American as a citizen. Well, American, U.S.
Good voice.
Huh?
Yeah,
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice.
because you can be an American, not a citizen. You could be a resident or
Yeah.
an authorized or.
But
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I think it's a resident of the United States, not
Yeah.
It's an
North
individual,
American.
not
But
all the hype that is what the U.S. puts out about itself.
right.
I guess to start off, then I want to say one thing Canada and the USA both have in common
Okay.
is all of our citizens really don't appreciate exactly how good we have it. Because our biggest worries in life are so little, and we treat them like they're catastrophic. We know that we're going to be able to wake up and survive the day. A lot of people don't have that, so it kind of shows a little bit of our ignorance of the rest of the world. Now, as an outsider, when I look at the American people, I mean, we see a truly incredible country. You guys have got a lot of amazing things going on. Absolutely amazing things going on. But I think the problem a lot of us have is whenever we hear from Americans, it's almost like you guys think you're the cradle of civilization. You are the cream of the crop. It'll never get better than this. Everybody wants the American dream. And I think a lot of Americans, first off, don't fully understand and appreciate your own history to have a full appreciation of what makes you so great. And there's a weird thing you guys are brought up with where the rest of the world wants to live like you. And that's pretty ingrained. That's not a left or a right thing. Somewhere in every American, there's that idea that everybody needs to live by our values because they are superior. And I'm in a country that shares a lot of those values, but we do differ in a lot of different places. And the places where we do differ kind of give us a weird view of what is going on inside the heads of a lot of Americans. Just down to the idea that if some other country is not living to your values, the first idea is, why don't we go in there and change it? Why don't we be the world police? And I understand there's a reason to be the world police, because yeah, there are places where it is very clearly a worse situation. But it's the whole center of the universe thing. I agree that people should be proud to be an American, 100%. You guys have got a lot of amazing things going on. But it hurts when we look at the fact that part of the experience, at least projected to the rest of the world, of what it means to be American is, it's to simplify it, it is a massive division. Even down to every state can't even agree on laws on big, very important things, like something like marriage. You can literally walk across a line, still be in the same country, and suddenly your marriage may or may not be legal. And everyone seems to be okay with that. It gets debated as if that's a normal thing to be debating about as a country. So what it comes down to, I guess, is what it means to be American somewhat also doesn't mean as much, because it should be said what it means to be a Texan, what it means to be a New Yorker, it break it down to your state, because in a lot of ways, the rest of the world, we look at you guys as a collection of small countries trying to get together and assert power, but you guys can't even agree amongst yourselves. And it's been wired that way. It's been drilled in. It's been drilled in that hard that I don't know if a lot of Americans even see it the same way that we do. Because at the end of the day, you fly your flag. We're American. We're damn proud of it. All that. And the rest of the world, we're looking at it going, you guys almost don't even know what it means to be American yourselves. So every individual has their own idea. And we're all supposed to celebrate that with you. And I get that's kind of what we all see when we look at Americans. And that's a pretty global opinion.
I think that's an American opinion. We know that about ourselves.
Right. That's actually one of our advantages.
Or at least one of the things we see as one of our advantages. That's part of the great American experiment, is taking all of these very disparate, almost nations, all of these different states, and coming together and working together despite all of our differences. And
we've had some pretty big doozies.
Yeah. That is one thing to remember, is that this is one of, and may be on par with some of, the most polarized our nation has ever been. But this is not the apex of polarization of our nation.
If I can slightly add this one part, because I'm going to argue every other point if we have time. But I will say this. You aren't giving Americans enough credit for being self-aware. Because
in this group, I understand you are a very self-aware group here.
But what
you go to certain parts of the states and they don't have that self-awareness, and they form about 50% of your population.
I have been to those parts of the states. I can go outside 20 miles out of where I am and find some very hard. I live 40 minutes away from the group that just got excommunicated by the Pope 2 days ago.
Oh wow!
Oh, damn!
I went to a high school that was, no joke, picketed by the Westboro Baptists every single day, including all extracurricular activities except for ROTC, because Gunnar Kelly threatened to kick his ass to Kansas City and back. And Gunnar Kelly would have done it.
I could still picture Westboro really wanting to protest ROTC. God, what a
They did it one time. Gunnar Kelly said, "Hey, if you do that again, I'm kicking your ass to Kansas City and back." And Fred Phelps was like, "Okay," and then he never did it again. And Gunnar Kelly also prepared kids who were LGBT to go into a rather hostile military organization at the time and taught them how to survive in that environment. The man was a legend. Because this was still don't ask but don't tell.
Right.
So I know, even before the 2000 election, I have been aware of what's been going on in this country for a very long time. But I still understand that most Americans are very self-aware. And I will give you this as an example. The movie Stripes. Because that is a weirdly patriotic movie, because not just because of it being in the military, but because it is a group of dipshit Americans who came together and organized themselves despite their own worst tendencies, did it on their own terms, and still succeeded. Because that's what we do. And Americans are more than happy to go full dipshit, even if ironically, and full patriot, even if ironically, when called out on it. Right? We are the first people. We are the first people in this country, in this world, to bring up Freedom Prize. Right? We knew it was dumb as fuck. We knew that. Even
Even
the
the
guy
people
who
ordering
way it
them.
better. But if you bring it up, we will double down, right? Oh, well, how about freedom onion rings,
Oh God.
right? How about them apples, right? We are always going, we are very self aware. Now, there are people with massive sticks up their asses. Yeah, that's everywhere. You go to rural Italy, you'll find some real crazy nut jobs, right? It's that's part of the point of being an American is you can do it on your own terms. You can have your own belief structure. You can have the ability to exist how you want to exist, mostly with some big caveats. But even then, a lot of Americans will come together and fight back once that starts trying to push back. It might take a century, it might take a year, it might take a minute, but we always try to fight for the betterment of our own kind, even under some of the most dystopian of circumstances.
Do you ever stop to consider though what you call the inside joke of freedom fries, what that says to countries like France, or what 51st State as whatever inside joke says to one of your
So
one
most
of your
Americans are
allies?
against that kind of stuff. Don't confuse what the right wing is trying to push in the media with where most Americans lay on that. Because the difference between freedom fries and the 51st State is freedom fries is as dumb as Liberty Cabbage and as dumb
So is
as
51st State.
No. What I'm saying is
51st.
ultimately freedom fries didn't hurt anyone,
I mean,
right?
it hurt some French feelings, but
Well, but
It
it's
sent
not
a
even-
message.
it
No,
did.
but French,
It did.
French
It
fries
did.
isn't even French. It's about being French. It's not about France.
No, the reason that you started using freedom fries was because France wouldn't jump up and have your back in a war that they didn't agree with.
We never used it. Some dipshit congressperson used it, and then he
And
walked
we-
it back and said it was stupid as fuck.
And the rest of us started making fun of it.
Right.
Now,
It was
the difference between
mocked immediately.
the difference between freedom fries and 51st State is as we made
Terrifying.
fun of freedom fries, we were making fun of a harmless, what we saw
Right.
as a harmless but stupid gaffe.
Right.
We knew that 51st
That's-
State
yes.
was not harmless nor a gaffe. It was not.
Yeah, a lot of Americans were terrified when we heard about the stuff about
Yeah.
Canada and Greenland.
And that's part
We
of
took that
why we
very
didn't.
seriously.
That's part of why we didn't make so many jokes about it.
Yes.
Or the jokes we made about it were like, uh-oh, we better get ready for Canada to come down here and kick our ass.
Right.
But-
Most people
Like-
were Team Canada on that.
Yeah.
That's
we
the
were
difference.
that's the real big difference between those two things. One, 51st State, the similarity is that both of those statements galvanized the nation together in a certain kind of way.
Right.
Freedom fries galvanized us together into making fun of our own concept of our own hegemony. And
Right.
I get where Lockpick's coming from, that the outside sees us as this very high on our own hegemony. Sort of, we really do think we are the best, and we will tell everybody. We're like vegans like that.
And
Vegans
it's
aren't even
also-
like that anymore. I've got to stop doing that. Vegans have started to be cool. We're like
It's-
Republicans like that.
So freedom
You're like
fries
people who
is
do
like-
CrossFit.
Oh, there it is. What were you going to say, Maddie?
Freedom fries is on the same level as during World War I when they changed sauerkraut to be called Liberty Cabbage and everyone thought it was dumb then. Or during World War One when England changed the name from German Shepherd dogs to Alsatian dogs to get away from the German designation.
Yeah, but that was when you were actively at war with the people that you were changing the name from. You guys did this, and even if it is a joke with you guys, this is somebody who is an ally. And essentially it went down of, are you going to have our back? Will you have our back? No? Then we're going to become a schoolyard bully and start laughing about anything that is strapped to the name France or French.
But you see what I'm saying? The difference is we mocked, and it's still a meme. The whole freedom fries thing is still a meme of hyper nationalistic, patriotic overcorrection from some dipshit who thinks, oh, I'm going to take this name out and change it to something else. And everyone is like, come on, get a grip.
If I may?
Yes.
If I may? The problem with freedom fries is while those of us within the borders of the United States, the vast majority of us, I'm certain there are some people who took it seriously, were believed to be in on the joke. We thought it was just so stupid we had to make fun of it. Right. Unfortunately, we never attempted to make sure that everybody outside the country was in on the joke. So it does come across as bullying. Many times this happens in our own heads just individually. This time it happened on an international scale.
Right. But again, French fries aren't even French. They're
from Belgium.
French. It's French. The whole thing is done from the top down. Yes.
It is.
It's like French. It's like French green beans. We never called it
French cut.
Freedom green beans.
Right. I think one of the things we need to remember is that, and this saying is very, I don't know how well the saying holds up, but the isms are in the perception. And what Lockpick is saying is that France perceived our anti-French nationalism. Whether we, as Americans, most of us meant it or not, that's what France perceived. And the rest of the world perceives us in this way. In these ways, we can excuse it internally because we know why these things are. We know what the joke is, but the rest of the world isn't in on the joke.
Let me ask this: what's the difference between nationalism and patriotism?
Patriotism is a love for your country and a respect for your country and a willingness to do what you need to do for your country. Nationalism is basically you treat your country as a supremacy. You have a certain idea for your country, and you're going to take any means necessary to turn your country into that view.
See, I think it's and I'm only doing this slightly as a to slightly move on, but also to slightly counter this. Nationalism is where, and this gets back to your own point, where all Americans have their own idea of what it is to be an American, and that's why it's hard to point it down, is because nationalism is not just about individuals going, oh, we're going to create a one-sided view of what it is to be an American. It is very much more a top-down, this is how you can only be an American as dictated by the government, whether it's the US or otherwise. Like Mussolini, Italy is a perfect example of hyper-nationalism. Right?
Hyper-nationalism.
Right. But what I'm saying is, when you have a nationalist viewpoint, it's not just about a collection of different people all single-handedly agreeing on how to be a good nationalist citizen. It pretty much always becomes, this is what the government dictates on how to be a good nationalist citizen, and any derivation from that is next to treason or dissension, right?
Whereas patriotism is believing in your country
on your own terms,
Right.
and that's why I think a lot of people don't understand that about America, is why it's hard to be seen as a patriot, because everyone engages that in their own way, some more than others. And it's not, oh, this is the good way and this is the bad way. It's just everyone kind of has a loose collection of, here's how to be a good American, here's the civic understanding of that, and maybe not everyone agrees, but we can at least kind of come together.
And that's the patriotic aspect.
And right, that's what I mean, though. That's what I'm saying.
Where we see the nationalism,
yes,
where the rest of the world sees the nationalism, is where you take those values, the patriotic values you have as an American, and you try to assert them to other places around the world.
right.
Either through economic pressure or through military force.
Right, but I'm talking about internally as what does it mean to be an American within being an American citizen or resident. I'm not. That's a whole different can of beans, or can of worms, or can of.
That's
liberty.
the external view of what it means to be American. That's the America we see.
That's the perception.
That's what I mean, though. That's not the same as what is an American patriot, though, or what does it mean to be an American citizen, or what does it mean to be an American? It's like comparing the geopolitics understanding of Italy versus how an Italian feels what it means to be an Italian citizen or resident or whatever.
Yes, I think we will come back to what it looks like to be an American,
right?
In a little while. We are gonna let Maddie go through what it means to be her opinion of what it means. Her opinion of what it means to be an American. Her perception of that, and her perception of patriotism, and then we'll come back to. Actually, first, we're also going to let Kat weigh in. I feel like we did not give Kat a chance to weigh in on this either, what it means to be American. And then we will wrap up with, again, sort of the international bird's eye view.
It's so hard to say what it is to be an American, especially now, but I refuse to let go of the concept. I know a lot of people who are like, I'm either going to leave or we're going to change or blah, blah, or I'm going to sit out. And I'm like, well, you have none of those options unless you've got $1 million and can buy your way into Germany or whatever.
This is sort of, okay, so I did title this was a trap. What does it mean to be an American is a trap.
I mean,
there is no cohesive idea.
The answer that people want to hear is some sort of Aaron Sorkin West Wing speech. That's all, good patriotism. History teacher becomes president, and it's people are intelligent and they have a good education and they overcome their own biases with, weekly episodes where they have to confront those biases and become better people as adults and teach kids how to be good civic-minded Americans. And America is first and foremost a messy bitch and has always been a messy bitch.
Yup.
But whether you're going to Puerto Rico, oh dear, maybe not Puerto Rico, or some places in some people in Puerto Rico, or Maine, or Texas, or You know, guys know what I'm trying to say. I just said the wrong thing. Yeah, I know.
I know.
We all exist on our own terms. We don't agree hardly over any goddamn thing, but we all agree that we have the right to not agree on any goddamn thing. Right? And maybe that's where we exist. I live in a state that started off with massacres over slavery because people didn't want slaves here. And Missouri was sending slave owners over here, and people were going around massacring the slave owners. Like, right? That's where this state started as a territory. Other states had different starts. Some states started as the 13 colonies and organized entire militias to kick out the British. Right? Other ones were governments beforehand and were maliciously taken over by the federal government. Some of them just joined.
Some of us were
Others,
stragglers.
others were just taken over. Right? We all have that manifest destiny to some extent. By the way, that is manifest destiny, and yes, most Americans don't realize that. What people don't want to be American because that is built into us. I don't believe that. I know a lot of people who don't want to be American, and that's fine. I know a lot of Americans who don't want to be American, and that's fine too. But that's what that's called. That's that manifest destiny understanding of American is always somehow morally, governmentally superior to other governments, and how dare you presume otherwise. It's a pain in the goddamn ass. And we would be better off if we realized it's okay to not be American. So I don't know what it means to be American, but I do know it means we can all fucking argue about shit without hurting each other. And we can try to make our own lives better. And we have to goddamn stop the Republican Party and the goddamn Koch brothers and Mercers and Heritage Foundation and Trump administration and all this and that because they are trying to strip mine us and take us down. And I have a sneaky idea of how they're doing it, and it's not a way people think they are. But most Americans want to be American, and even if their most basic bitch American patriotism, 4th of July, I want to have sparklers, I want to have hot dogs, and that's the and I want my kid to go in the military, and that's the most American thing you can be, then, and they're not hurting anyone else, then what else that let them be that way? I was in the Peace Corps, I know. I was in the Peace Corps in Morocco. I saw some fucking poverty. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I did. I saw poverty in western Pennsylvania that made parts of Morocco look really goddamn nice. If you want to see some 300 years of poverty, go to western Pennsylvania. Or Native American reservations.
Yep.
If you want to see, if you think all Americans have it awesome and great compared to other,
Go to Detroit.
Go to certain areas, and you will be like, holy hell, how do these people survive? The Navajo Nation had the highest rates of COVID in the world, to the point where other countries were sending in really humanitarian relief packages. We have poverty. And yeah, other places have poverty too. Those other places have it worse probably, but that does not undermine the social inequality, the socioeconomic inequality found across the world, and that includes America.
All right. There are a lot of very good points there that I agree with. I love that the main takeaway is I don't know what it means to be an American. That is
Who's more American, Abby Hoffman or Eisenhower? That's or I don't know.
Abby
Paul
Hoffman.
Robes. Oh, yeah, Paul Robes.
Abby Hoffman. Worker organizers are always more American than presidents.
Right, Eisenhower's also.
But that's
more
also my opinion.
Right, but I'm just saying that's the point though, is you can be an American as a president or as American as an activist. And or neither. And
still be an American.
still be an American. And I think that's why patriotism both encompasses and does not encompass our understanding of what it is to be an American, because we are one of the most diverse countries in the world for good and for bad reasons. But it is always a positive for America to be that diverse. And half of our problems exist within that diversity. But the other problem is we actively work to overcome those problems. And a lot of countries that shit on America for having racism don't have racism in their country because their minority is 3% of their country. And then they shit on that 3% in the first place. And then they claim they don't have racism. Yeah, because they're a monolithic ethnic culture. You can't, and then the 3 people who move in that don't fit that get shit on and call even worse names to their face because they're on the soccer team and the whole crowd is calling them worst names possible. So yeah, America, the messy bitch with the freedom of press and the freedom to talk about these things. So yeah, it makes us look worse because we talk about it and we have the ability and rights to talk about it, and the rest of the world listens to us when we talk. You guys don't have to watch American television. You guys don't have to watch American news. But my God, you tune in like it's a soap opera.
It is.
Actually, we kind of do have to. We kind of do have to, considering most of our media is provided from American companies.
Well, that sounds
it's
like
actually
a
fairly
you guys
difficult.
problem.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't want to hear it, don't listen to it. Turn off the television. Stop reading ABC
If
News.
your politics and if your news didn't affect me on a day-to-day basis, I would agree with what you're saying. But I need to know what's happening in America because it might actually affect what I do for my job next week.
Right, and that's fine. I get that. But to act like, oh, America is this and that, yeah, we are. I'm sorry. We suck. It's horrible. But to say, oh, but that's what I mean, though. America has plastered itself all over the global media spectrum. Right?
Yeah.
And if we need to not be in it, then fine. Don't watch our shit. If you need to watch it, that's fine too. But we don't control what other people watch outside of the US, right? You guys have that control.
We as citizens don't. The corporations that do have control, some of them are American corporations. However, some of them are British.
If you don't want to watch Fox News or you don't want to watch reruns of Friends, then go watch Kids in the Hall reruns. We don't care. Right?
I mean, my personal opinion is Kids in the Hall was better than Friends, but...
Well, of course it is, but I'm just saying, everyone's like, oh, American media is everywhere. I'm like, all right, go support your local arts and your film industry and your television industry and your media industry.
What I do got to point out, what you're saying right there is almost in direct contrast to what I kind of wanted to talk about is the whole manifest destiny idea, and the fact that a lot of Americans might be better off if they realize that the rest of the world doesn't want to be American.
But
but the reality is a lot of the times we don't necessarily have a choice because you guys have got the economy, you've got the power, you've got the ability to essentially have global reach with things like your media, with things like your attempted culture. We don't have a choice. And this isn't about, oh, we're being forced to watch it and we just don't have to watch it if we don't want to. When something affects you, if something affects you on a day by day, it's almost irresponsible not to watch it.
Well,
I'm not even exaggerating when I say that what happens on the news on Friday literally might affect my job on Monday.
I understand that.
I'm
and
in a
that's
whole
the
other
thing.
country.
Yes, I get that. I understand that. I totally get that.
So to treat it like it's a problem on my end when I need to keep on board with what's happening south of the border and say, if you don't want to see it, don't watch. Well, then I get caught with my pants down on Monday and have no idea why I don't have anything to fucking do this week.
It's
But
not even
I
just
didn't
that
just say it was the news, though. I'm saying the
individual.
whole media landscape.
I don't watch media at all. I don't even have a cable connection.
What's cable? No, it's not just that though. It's not just news. It's not just the media. It is on a larger level. The rest of the world is having our culture shoved down its throat. It doesn't really have the choice to get away from American culture. It's not just the political stuff that's going to affect the rest of the world, although that is a big part of it. You know,
Yes.
BBC runs their radio news spots run about equal time on American stuff, on US, specifically US politics and US culture as it runs for the rest of the world.
As is that the international feed or is that their internal feed? Because there's a bunch of different BBC newses that cover different things
That is
or
true.
different regions.
It's the one that I get from PBS or from NPR, which means it's probably a specific Americanized. But
Right.
it is
Like,
but it still is a thing that, well, although when I was there, when I was in England, when I've been overseas, when I've been paying attention to their local stuff,
yes.
American news gets pushed hard. What's going on in the US stays top of mind for the rest of the world and gets pushed to them.
Okay, so, but let me ask this. Why is it our fault that the BBC, a British corporation, is pushing American politics?
On our
Nobody said it's your fault. No, nobody said it's your fault.
But I'm
on
just
our
saying,
individual
At no point did
levels.
anyone say it's your fault.
Have the ability and
Oh, hold on. Nobody said it's your fault. The problem there is when we hear the expression, if you don't want to watch it, then don't watch.
right.
And when it's that ingrained in what happens in your nation, when it's that ingrained in a type of ideology that's trying to be pushed onto your culture, and when the majority of what is on that screen ends up being American produced content, whether it's news or entertainment, it's not about if you don't want to see it, don't watch. It's about it affects us. We
But
have
that's
to
what I'm
watch it.
saying. There's a difference
It's relevant
between
to
news
us.
media and entertainment media. Okay, yeah, you have a vested interest in watching the American news because you need to know what's going on, even if you didn't have that job issue. But watching American shows, entertainment shows, that's a choice. You could do 1,000 other things. You read a book, read a Canadian book, go outside, watch
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 breadcrumbs.
the sunset.
Yeah, and that's why I don't.
okay.
That's why I don't have any sort of a media connection into the house. I don't watch any of it.
But that's what I'm saying.
On a larger level, on a conceptual level, not just on this sort of on the ground level, like this is what people have to do. On a larger level, our attitude of watch something else. If you don't like it, don't watch.
Yeah.
Is sort of evidence of that idea of manifest destiny. It's
No, I
that
think it's part of
it's that American cluelessness.
the point is if you stop if Canadians were like we are going to boycott all American entertainment as much as possible, which is something you guys could easily do. I'm not saying you guys can easily do it. I could see Canadians going like we're not going to watch American reruns. and because we don't like what America's doing right now, and turn it into a collective action, then yeah, those ratings will drop. But I'm not saying it's Americans who push that onto you guys. Those are contracts created by the entertainment industries between Canada and America, because it's cheaper apparently for Canadian TV channels to air reruns of US shows than it is to produce their own long-term sitcoms. And by the way,
Even
we
though
get
most
US
of our shows have been shot in Canada.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
right.
I think the difference here is on a population level, we as Americans don't think our culture is all that great. We don't see it as being something that the rest of the world wants to be like. I mean, yeah, you do get the America's the greatest country in the world.
Right. And
But-
those people are boobs or grifters.
Right. But a lot of us on the individual level are like, no. You want to live your life, not our life. Trust me. It may be sold as glamorous, but it ain't. But what we don't realize, what we the population don't realize, is that that's not what's sold to the rest of the world. What we're actually living, what we experience, what we see America as, how we see this country, is not at all what the rest of the world perceives of us.
And it's also not portrayed in entertainment shows.
It really isn't.
The shows are
I mean-
all very romanticized or told in a certain way or pushed a certain agenda or
Well, your shows are made by multi-billionaires who want to make more money by selling the product overseas. And they've got to put that whole, well, we got to come up with an ideology to push out. That's why I stopped watching all of it. I don't watch anything. Once in a while, if there's a show that comes out, I might watch a few episodes, but I don't watch any of it because I spend a lot of my time on here. I would argue most of my friends are Americans. And on a day-to-day life, we are the same. We are the same damn people. We want the same damn things. We have the same damn conversations. Boots on the ground. We are the same damn people. And that projected image, I started looking at that and saying, this bothers me because it's putting a bad name on a lot of people that are real close to me. And I think that's, as an outsider, not many of us get a chance to have casual sit-down, morning coffee, hanging out, playing video games, the conversations we would have at a coffee shop. I have an opportunity to have those conversations every day with Americans, and it's hard then for us to look at the projected image and consolidate the two.
right.
We're not sure why it's allowed or why people tolerate it.
Because we don't. So most Americans don't have a choice for the most part. And if I add this one thing, American entertainment media, modern entertainment media, or let's say movies, television, let's say radio shows back in the day, have been predetermined to push certain constructs and concepts going back to at least the Hays Code of the 30s, when they suddenly dictated that movies and other things could only, or the comics code too, can only portray certain plot lines, have certain outcomes for certain characters, have certain endings for bad guys, can only portray women in certain ways, portray men and women together in certain ways that
Villains have to use an Android. They're not allowed to use an Apple.
Right. That's one small thing. That's one teeny tiny thing. But that media control of narrative and morals has been going on for over 100 years in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And before that, it was novels and editorial decisions. I mean, look at Spider-North. They couldn't call him Spider-Man, played by Nick Cage, because Nick Cage got drunk, swore, and drank, and did other things in that show that Peter Parker could not possibly be shown, because Peter Parker is a good New York boy who would never get drunk or swear or hang out with Hispanic chicks or black dudes in the 30s, right?
You have triggered my fandom.
So they have changed the name of the character and the superhero name so people would not be confused with a 64-year-old man playing the Spider as Ben Reilly with Spider-Man with Peter Parker. That's the state of American entertainment system.
I
God
disagree.
forbid Spider-Man gets drunk.
All right.
I just you have triggered my fandom. That's the way
Right.
the character was named from the get-go.
Right. But do you see what I mean? The American entertainment system has always been incredibly pinned in.
It was named that way from the get-go before they even developed the character. When he showed up in the comic as a one-off for the introduction to the Spider-Verse crud, that's the way it was created.
In the comics?
Yes, in the comics.
Okay. But I'm just saying they literally changed the name of the show so people would not confuse, because apparently Peter Parker currently cannot engage in certain things, activities.
And that's a part of the comics code. And that comics code, that idea of the comics code and the idea of the Hayes Code, that curation of
Right.
the image of America is out of the hands of us as individuals.
Right.
Now,
Right.
we have, as Americans, we have the right to do our own thing.
Yes.
We have the right
I can write.
right. You can write your own comic book or your own movie, and it can say what it wants and do its thing. Where these codes come into play is it wouldn't get
It wouldn't get made
approval.
without some heavy editorialization.
Well, it wouldn't get approval from certain groups. And
Right.
it's odd that those groups, they don't have a veto in whether it comes out. It's
No.
then up the corporate ladder where the studios don't want to run afoul of the police. So, Kat, you need to stop jumping into my joint. Lucky that thing ain't lit.
I bag little doggy.
You know,
It's the choice of the studios to not
Right.
include this stuff. And that's why it's a corporate thing, and we don't
Right.
have the ability to stop it. If it were a governmental thing, we could.
the
We
only
could
thing
very
we can do
easily
is
tell our government not to do that.
there's a few
However-
things we can do. We can organize, and the left doesn't organize for reasons that aren't necessarily the left's fault. The
Right.
right has been organizing and being supported for decades. So
Yes.
if, some right-wing group refuses to watch Mulan because there's cross-dressing in Mulan, they can
all
organize
the
a
right wing
boycott.
groups are in on
They
it.
can organize a boycott, and they did that in the 90s when that movie first came out.
Right.
But we individually have the right to just not, if I'm like, I'm not going to watch Spider-Man get drunk and cuss, I'm just not going to watch it. That's the free market of me as a
We also have the ability to say what we want about it,
right. Yes,
to
that too.
make
And we
these
can
comments,
critique
and
it.
we can publish these comments.
Yes.
No one can tell us we can't publish. People can tell us they won't publish us, but they can't tell us that we ourselves can't publish. If we have the means, we are allowed to. Kat, why do you want to walk across the DJ controller?
Because the buttons must be pushed, because all of the buttons are being pushed today.
Now,
Oh.
and this gets back to the loss of local media.
Oh, hi, Just Me Crystal. Much love. Glad to see you. This does get back to the loss of local media.
And that's part of Project 2025, but it's been a project going back to the early 2000s.
Yes. I think to
Yeah.
Lockpick's point about the, why is this allowed? And we've covered why we can't stop it. But what we can do is use these kinds of platforms to engage individually with the rest of the world
Yes.
and show you who we are as individuals, show you what the population is really like. All of these friends of yours, and some of them are friends of mine, that through this platform, through these platforms, do they seem like people who represent this idea of manifest destiny and U.S.
Hegemony.
Hegemony?
There's a good chunk that do. I couldn't lie to you. There's a good chunk that do.
Okay.
But also remember, this is not a non-random group of Americans either.
That's true too. However, no, I also see the point that to some degree we do have this ingrained in us.
And oh no, we totally do. We absolutely do. Trust me.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with the educational system and culture pushing a huge manifest destiny within Americans as somehow being the default state, and anyone not wanting to be part of that in group is somehow sufficient or dumb or don't know something or
Right.
don't know better. I totally agree. We're not arguing against that.
Yeah.
It 100% is baked into our culture. To where people are like, well, Native Americans did not become Americans until 1924, when many of them did not want to be Americans and pushed hard against it.
I'd like
That's
to
not
point
a
out
negative.
that they were Americans before we were. They were Americans before we got here.
No, they weren't. Because there was
yeah.
no American.
There was no
Yeah, I was
Amerigo
gonna say-
Vespucci.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
they're right on the tail end of watching a bunch of foreigners come in and ruin their entire nation. So I can kind of understand exactly how they feel. Sorry, that was tasteless.
I mean,
Call it like you see it, right?
And I can weigh in because Canada. Okay, you guys might have had your little episode with the natives. Trust me, Canada was 100% worse. We were horrific. We exploited, we exterminated, and it didn't stop happening until what time is it right now?
The Geneva
Because
checklist.
we had atrocities happening literally within the last 10 to 15 years. There are horrific things happening. Yeah,
Would you like some blankets?
we can give you a run for your money when it comes down to the native issues on who's more horrible.
I mean, the only reason I'm in Kansas is because my family was part of the later Trail of Tears.
So this is one of those moments where I love pointing out how recently my families got here and how they got here. The Stuarts and the Pulaskis came over to fight against the South in the Civil War. And the Frances the Jewish part of my family came over right around, I think it was right around World War One, to escape pogroms in Russia.
Oh,
Now,
speaking of
the Stewarts.
entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, keep going forward, and then I'll
Oh,
add my point.
the
You
Stewarts,
want me
once
to
they
go with
hit
the
South
obstacle?
Carolina and Kentucky, didn't become nice people. Let's not forgive the inherent racism of the Stewarts of the South.
Yes.
Do you
Ooh,
want me to demonstrate the opposite end of the spectrum?
go for it.
What you're going to say.
I do too, but go for it anyway.
I can trace part of my lineage back to the Mayflower, and my family farm was a land grant from the King of England.
My last name is Steinhauser. Do I need to elaborate?
Look, I'm just sitting here wondering if, at this point, if Maddie and I are related, like distant cousins, because of Missouri and my
Oh, God.
my family's connection to the Trail of Tears.
Do you know Nancy Ward?
No, but I do not know a great deal on my dad's side because he was the youngest of 8 children, and he was born in 1941 as the youngest.
If not related, y'all are probably neighbors at least.
Possibly.
So, Nancy Ward was like a huge Cherokee leader in the like she's kind of like a in the like not everyone, like a lot of people are related to her. So it's either one of those, if you know her and you're related, then we'd be cousins, because there's like a billion descendants of hers.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
At some point, you and I should probably compare notes about Missouri, especially if you've got any relatives down around Kidder and St. Joe.
I don't. My whole family was on the eastern border of Kansas. If you know where Beagle is.
Vaguely.
Okay, that's kind of where my family was from. My family, my great grandfather used to own a bunch of land south of Kansas City that he sold because he couldn't afford it, and then oil was found on it, and all the people who now are multimillionaires. Yeah, that one hurt. That one hurt.
Oh, ouch. My soul. Yeah. Oh, that does.
Uh-huh. I could have gone to, like, the best private schools.
I mean, yes, but then I would have to start calling you Laura Croft.
Laura Croft? No. She's not an archaeologist. I know.
No, she's a rich relic hunter, but
marks the spot.
I would put Indiana Jones above her as an archaeologist.
Well, yes, because he's actually an archaeologist, and she is specifically a rich relic hunter.
Right.
There's a difference.
Is she even a relic hunter, or does she just go out and do weird adventuring?
She was called a relic hunter.
She's doing relic hunting.
Yeah.
So bad. It's so bad. So yeah. I read this book.
I mean, that's kind of why it's called Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have big opinions about all of that. I will say
that you do.
So I will say, in Indiana Jones's defense, that's pretty much how it worked back then. And in fact, he was not like a eugenicist. Is put him above way a bunch of other people who are doing that at the same time.
Yeah.
So it is of its time. It's called cowboy archaeology.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Yeah, that's kind of how it was, and you might not like it, and you can absolutely like detract from it. But it's good to kind of know that history, if only to kind of know what you're dealing with. Plus, it's hard to
fought Nazis
against someone who punches Nazis for a living.
Like,
I mean,
really
he was created by Spielberg.
He was what?
created by Spielberg.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let
So yeah.
us
So
let us
so
get.
wrap it up. Tell us what it means to be a patriot.
I was gonna say, let's get Kat's opinion on the matter,
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
and then I will go back to. I guess I'll try to wrap this up neatly or something.
There's no wrapping this up neatly.
Trevor,
Oh, didn't we just get
you
done talking about how U.S. is a messy bee?
you planted a trap.
I
You
did.
you had bait in the trap in the form of me and Peanut Gallery, and then you started inviting victims into the trap, and you have managed to catch specifically Lockpick and Maddie so far. But you also have all of the people in chat that are drinking tea and eating popcorn watching this. So
Is this victims or just willing participants? Because I knew the score.
he set a trap, so therefore anybody that walked into it after we were used as bait, I'm counting as a victim. Willing
Yeah,
or
I got
not.
exactly what I expected, actually.
Yep. I mean, I texted Lockpick this morning and said I'd really like your input on this.
I mean, I would have been just typing the same thing anyways.
It's just a lot faster to get in VC.
Yes.
It's harder. It really is harder. And if you're chat only, there can be point where you just lose the argument because
Yep.
you can't
You can't keep up.
have that debate. You can't have yeah, it's just impossible.
Yeah. Now, I would like to say that this is one of those debates that you don't win or lose. Everybody gets a trophy for participating. But also to the point, this is a discussion about opinions. Because being an American is such a messy thing. There is no single definition. It's, there are points to be maybe debated, points of misunderstanding to be cleared up, but there's no way of coming to a consensus about the subject
No.
matter because it's so broad. All of that being said, Kat, give us your synopsis. Distill this down for us like the pro you are.
Damn me with faint praise. Thank you. For me, it comes down to being an American is a balancing act. Because as I mentioned, I have relatives that have connections, or I am related to people that have connections to the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
On my dad's side. On my mom's side, my grandfather was either born on the boat on the way here or born after they got off the boat sometime around 1903, 1904. So my mother was the first generation Polish born child here.
Right. And yeah.
So it's a balancing act between managing to survive in the climate we have now and not losing sight of the fact that there's more pieces that make up the puzzle than what you see on the surface.
Yeah.
And keeping all of the pieces together so that you don't fly apart, or so you don't forget and neglect certain elements, is difficult.
Right. And to not get distracted by entertainment.
Oh no, you get distracted by the entertainment.
No. I mean by how of how Americans are presented as a fictional entity by itself.
It's not buying into the hype. It's trying to
Yeah.
remind yourself constantly to not buy into the hype. Because the other part of my dad's family are most likely conscripted French people that were dumped here off of the docks and out of the jails in Louisiana. So it's like, on the one hand, you've got all of the American hype, but on the other hand, because I actually know some of my family history, we really were the people that were given bad trade deals. We were the people that were conscripted and dumped here. We were the people that, as recently as 1920, got off a boat and were ridiculed and were not given work because we were Polish. We weren't Irish. We might have been Catholic, but we weren't Irish Catholic, so we weren't allowed to work in certain areas. There were farms. We could go work on farms. We did that, a lot of that, until Grandpa finally scraped enough together to go move down to Florida and open a dry cleaning business, because that's what they did at the time. And once he had room down there for more people to come, the rest of the family started migrating down into Florida and opening other service industry businesses. It's like, I look like the main, I almost look like the main demographic that is generally thought about for the U.S. The biggest difference being that I have boobs. I'm a girl. I'm not a white man, so I totally just luck out on that one. But
Whatever I was about to say, I'm not going to say.
that's okay. I look like the typical demographic of what they think the country should look like, but that's not my family experience. And because I know my history, for me, being an American means honoring effectively what they did, what they went through, and trying to do better for those around me so that everybody that comes next has a better time and is not walking into the same shitstorm that we have now. Sometimes that means, voting and getting out. That means trying to be a better neighbor to my people and where I live. That means trying to be a better co-worker to the people I work with and help make sure things are going well.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's also not believing all of the hype of, ooh, America, go. It's like,
Right.
I am more likely to sit here and absolutely agree with my buddies in Greece and England and Australia and one of my other favorite Canadians, who is not Lockpick, about how, we will legitimately use anything other than metric to measure stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel okay making jokes about that one.
As long as they're measured jokes.
I mean, 2244, something like that.
You gotta get...
Ivy.
Pardon?
Stop trying to decimate her humor.
You can't do that. I don't have it.
A sense of humor?
Everybody knows that I'm a very, very dry and boring personage.
I'm sorry. Apparently, there's a sewage leak. Suddenly, this room is filled with bullshit.
You got bulls in your room?
Again?
Ava's sitting right here.
Yeah, held up by the horns.
I mean, would you really want a burning hot circle of metal stuck to your head? You would want it propped up off your scalp so your hair doesn't catch fire. Come on.
And on that note,
I got one thing. Can I add one thing? Very small thing.
yes, go right ahead.
I just read this book. It's on a secret society that tried killing Missourian, well, not Missourians, 1850s Kansas, right? So,
Okay.
like, think John Brown.
Okay.
And this guy came in from Austria and immediately joined up with this group. It was basically a secret paramilitary group, right?
Mm.
He immigrated in from Austria, not Australia.
Mm.
And he's talking about people with deep ties to like the Puritans and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who would have been executed with John Brown, but he was late to the party. This is that kind of a guy.
Okay.
So he said, I am neither of puritanical stock nor in the least connected with anybody whose forefathers landed at Plymouth Rock. As an American by choice, I am my own ancestor.
Mm.
And I feel like that describes so much of America.
As an American by choice, I am my own ancestor.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
In its own way, it speaks to my experience.
That,
Oh. Go ahead.
well, that people who've been here for centuries are just as American as people who just got off the boat.
Yes.
And one is not better than the other. And it's always an ability to start over.
It is. And that is part of the American experience, is that you don't have to have just gotten here to start over here.
No.
America, you can start over. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult now because the
Yes.
world is digital, but you can still start over in America.
You can be whoever you want to be, even if
You
you want to
can-
change who you want to be.
And you can leave where you are, go somewhere else, and be someone else. My experience with America has been doing that several times. When I left the farm, when we left the farm, and I felt that very much felt like going from another country and coming from another country, I mean, it was a completely different situation.
Yes.
Political, social, I mean, everything was different. And entering, not even 25, 30 miles away. Well, okay, about 45, 50 miles away. Moving 45, 50 miles away and entering the real world. It very much felt like I had to choose whether or not I wanted to be part of America or continue to be removed from it. Actually, I don't know that it felt like I had to choose. It felt like that choice was there. I feel like I've continued to choose to not make that decision yet. But my experience of America has been one of both seeing it from the inside as an American and seeing seeing who we are and seeing that messy definition and understanding it. The fact that there isn't a definition, the fact that we are so many different things,
Yes.
that the only thing that unites all Americans, all US citizens, is some connection to the geographical area known as the United States, that gives us this conceptual connection to a to a community, to the community of those people, of US citizens. That this sense of national identity, this patriotism, is very esoteric. And this is this difference between us as individuals and us as geographical areas, you know, the difference between Virginia and Texas and Virginia and Missouri and or wherever, these absolute, you know, disparate states have a method of coming together to work together in the form of the national government, the federal government. That tension between the federal government and the states is baked into our existence. That's supposed to be one of the checks and balances. All of this, all of these messy details, the checks and balances that are supposed to exist in our federal government within itself, the way that those checks and balances are supposed to be repeated on the state level, all of these little messy details of our political system, all of these messy little details of our sociology, and the large icons that are universal to our existence as Americans, our flag. Whether or not you feel a positive kind of way about the United States as a US citizen, whether or not you particularly like the flag, you find yourself at least in some reverence of it because it is a symbol of, and I say this as the average American finds themselves in some reverence of it because it is a symbol of what it means to be American. Whether you do or don't like the bald eagle as a bird, it is a symbol that evokes the sense of being a U.S., an American. Sorry, Lockpick. I know you're also technically an American because North America is way bigger than the U.S. But I also don't want to limit this by saying U.S. citizen or U.S. resident but a United Statesian. these symbols evoke this very nebulous idea of what it means to be an American. It's the very nebulous and esoteric nature of that idea that cements that idea into something. It represents the ability of all of us to come together to work for a greater good. And there is much left to do, but it is in the American psyche to see the flaws in our system and go, we can innovate and make it better.
Yes. And we as a people can make those changes.
And we can. We can. We can dismantle the fundamentally flawed parties of our political system. Even if we can't keep our system from being bipolar, we have the ability to change what the polls look like, how they behave, even.
I like the way my poll looks.
I can't say that I have been proud to be an American most of my life, because I have not been. There have been a few times where I've been like, yeah, all right, we're doing pretty good. But within a few years, we screw it up again.
Yeah, well, we always screw it up, but we always push back.
But we always push back. From the inside, I do focus very much on the flaws in our country. And I do not often take a look at our system and focus on the positives. I am more likely to look for the positives in America in the nature and in the countryside. But our system does have its positives. And I think as long as we can recognize and remember that the Constitution is a living document, that our system is a system in flux, meant to change, meant to keep up with changing times, I think that maybe we can learn to drop our idea of our hegemonic need. And I think we can grow and do better and strive to be the best nation that we can, both internally and internationally. I do see what this country could be capable of. And part of being American is deciding that striving for that is more important than lamenting what it is not. we must look to what our country isn't to make it what it could be. And we must reckon with what it was in order to become what we want to be. But the pathways are there. And that, my friends, is what I think it means to be an American. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Anyone have any last thoughts before we sign off? I'll take that as a not much. Thank you guys very much for being here. Maddie, thank you for joining in the VC. I really appreciate it. Oh, is there something in the chat that I missed? Discord chat that I missed? Oh,
Not just me being silly.
Yeah.
love it. Thank you, Lockpick, for being here. I also very much appreciate it. Our country needs humbling. I appreciate that you're willing to play that role.
Anytime.
Peanut Gallery, Cat, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys for putting up with these last few very special episodes. And I'm not guaranteeing we're done with this format, but we will soon be moving back to doing our headlines roundup as well. I think we just had some. Huh?
Doing this whole, and now a very special episode, that's a real Jax thing to be doing. And on Saturday mornings, too.
Every episode of Blossom was a very special episode of Blossom.
That's beside the point.
It is.
There,
It
that's
is.
done my derailing. Back to your regularly scheduled goodbyes.
Yes.
Will little Billy be able to escape the fridge in time?
Or will they have to call MacGyver?
Hey, MacGyver, I've watched the series. It didn't hold up, and it did hold up, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
Yep.
About as much as the A-Team.
Yep.
No, more than the A-Team. Far more than the A-Team.
Oh. I loved MacGyver. As a kid, we would.
At
My
least
dad-
when MacGyver built a homemade gun that was not technically a gun, at least he could hit the bad guy.
Right.
True, but that still wouldn't be legal in Canada.
MacGyver had a very specific rule that he did not use guns.
Yep,
This was established after the pilot episode where he did use a gun.
I know.
And this rule was also established because of a fan submitted letter.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. It was a goofy show, but boy, did that gimmick work.
Yeah. And I loved it.
Also, the vast majority of what he did, made, and scientifically was accurate, though they specifically left out certain parts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Also, they would exaggerate certain effects.
Reactions. Right.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
I mean, it is TV.
They're storytelling. They're allowed to be dramatic.
I mean, it's just like the Mythbusters. They weren't happy until they got the giant explosion, whether they had to add explosives to do it or not.
This was not Mr. Wizard.
No, this was not Mr.
Science-
Wizard.
Scientific accuracy did not have to be followed.
And thank you for bringing up a true childhood science teacher.
Oh my god, I
Yeah.
love
Well,
that
only
show
because he was
so much.
only because he was that much more crotchety than Bill Nye.
Yeah, he was. He was perfect. Like, it was so perfect. It was not this loud, in my face, happy, excited, hype show. It was perfect for the more laid back, sort of chilled out guy that I was. It was great.
Never a huge fan of Phil Nye. I mean, if I wanted the in-your-face, loud hype show for science, I watched Beekman's World.
You could smell Mr. Wizard's like garage. Like you know
Yeah.
it smelled like unfiltered Marlboros.
Yeah.
Marl's paint thinner, and why is there tobacco smoke everywhere?
Yeah.
Something else caught fire.
Yep.
You knew Mr. Wizard had opinions about hippies.
I mean, yeah. But also, if hippies could do science, he didn't care. It would they became okay if they did science, like science above all, you know. But yeah,
He was kind enough to keep those opinions to himself, but you knew he had them.
right.
Right.
Oh god,
Like
I
the
loved
cigarettes. You never saw him smoke, but boy, you knew he was smoking somewhere.
him. It was the wrinkles on the face that really told you.
And then we go into dinosaurs. We're going to need another Timmy.
No. Then you start going into the wonderful world of actors that are actually better scientists than the scientist TV.
Oh, you Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Dolph Lundgren's a scientist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's an incredibly intelligent, well-educated man.
He's
He
like,
is
I
scary
believe
smart.
that. I believe that.
He is.
He has multiple master's degrees in the sciences.
he's got masters in chemical science and maybe an honorary doctorate. I don't know. I gotta look that one up.
See,
He's
it sounds dangerous though. Like, I'm
Yes.
not saying he's not smart. I'm saying there's something lurking behind those eyes.
Yeah, it's called. If this was a Bond movie, he would be the Q version working for Blofeld on the wrong
Right.
side.
yes, he would.
Let's remember that this man actually played a vaguely convincing Punisher.
Yeah.
He was sort of the best part of that movie.
Yes, he could either blow you up with a bomb or he could power bomb you off the top rope.
Yes. He was oh man. Something cold behind those eyes that just makes me fear him having the ability to create dangerous objects. Even though he's probably a very nice guy.
Apparently, he's like just super nice and awesome.
He did
called
have to
acting.
serve mandatory military service and was part of the Coastal Rangers. So
Oh, okay.
But he's always been a nice guy. Like when filming Rocky, if they had a mistake and he accidentally like landed a hard punch, he was known to tear up and feel really bad about it.
yeah,
Oh.
and that he spent a lot of time trying to not be the ginormous
Scary guy.
Yeah. I mean, he did really well at playing those roles in the movies.
Yeah. He found his niche.
But yeah, no. Seeing the monolithic Hulk that's busy demolishing people in the boxing ring, or in real life, seeing him do all of his karate stuff and tear people up, and then going, oh yeah, and he also has this degree in chemical engineering. You're like, oh, please tell me he's not a Bond villain, please,
Right.
please.
Right? That was my first. That was my first go-to. Is, oh God, please tell me. Like, this sounds like
So
how
it's like,
you
come
get
to
a Bond
Speed and
villain.
come see my lair.
I mean, okay, if he
Nah,
says it to me in that accent, then yeah, I'll come see his lair.
nah, he's just the real life MacGyver.
Yeah.
Apparently. I didn't realize, I thought they just made everything bigger for TV. I didn't realize that they had to
No,
make
he is that big
MacGyver
dude.
smaller for TV.
And then Richard Dean Anderson and went on to play one of the most right wing pro military shows where he shot guns every single episode for the next 7.5 years.
Yes,
I
but it
know.
was good.
It was good. And it's actually my answer of like, why is there no good right wing media? And I'm like, there is. It's called Stargate. Guess
Yeah.
what? They did it well.
They
One of
did it
my
really,
favorite
really
bloopers
well.
came from
And it's pro military.
It
that.
is.
Oh,
MacGyver, why can't you just make 100 bucks out of here?
What would
just make a nuclear bomb,
Hang on,
MacGyver.
I'm putting it in chat.
Huh?
A favorite outtake from Stargate SG-1.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
you're MacGyver, why don't you just build a bomb?
No.
Oh.
The whole plot was they were trapped on some ice planet, and she's like, I'm stuck in an iceberg with MacGyver. If you've not seen Stargate, you need to see Stargate. The first one.
The show, SG-1? I've seen the
Yeah.
show. I have seen the
Okay.
show.
Okay, well, it's like the most famous outtake from that show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm shocked you never saw it because it's like it's constantly referenced with the show.
I'm sure I saw it at one point, but it just didn't
Right.
stick.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Anyway, yeah.
Speaking of
Look-
American media filmed in Canada,
Oh, you want to know something? It's even better. Supernatural filmed in Vancouver. None of those things look like Kansas. Where it takes place in Kansas is like 30 minutes from where I live.
Nice.
And none of the outside looks like Kansas. Everyone's like, what? This doesn't look like Kansas. Stoll
Good
Cemetery. I've had friends who've been to both locations. But yeah, speaking of like all American supernatural filmed in Canada.
All right. Let me try this one last time.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Lockpick. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Thank you, Cat. Thank you, Just Me, Crystal. Thank you, Master Rasta 420. Thank you, Darth Dragonis. Thank you, Chris in the 386. I think that's everybody who is in chat. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Much love. We appreciate it very much. And now is the time. When I say stick around for the raid. Ha! Now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down. VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all.
Yay.
Would you trade all of your tomorrows for just one yesterday? All of your sorrows for just one memory? Do you want back the time you had with all those friends who are gone? Is there anything left for you now that you're alone?
you trade all